Okay, Kaplan is next. And we are going to run through questions 81 to 90. 81. What is the definition of a rational number? A rational number is a number that you can write as a ratio of two integers. It's a repeating decimal or a terminating decimal. So you should know that. What's an integer? An integer is a whole number and they're opposites. So -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, those are, integers are positive and negative, but there's nothing in between. It's not like 3.5, that's not an integer, okay? Number 83, the question says, how do you find the missing number in a series when you're given the average? So let's say I give you these numbers, 3, 5, 8, and I want to know what this next one is. And they give you the average is of these numbers is 7. How would you do this problem?
Add them up and add an X and equal to 7.
Exactly. You're going to add them up, put it in X, and you've got 4 numbers. The average is 7. Set them equal to 7. So if you multiply 7 times 8, or 7 times 4 is 28, add these up, you're going to subtract it from 28, and you get 12 as your answer. So that's how you find a missing number if they give you the average. And a lot of times they'll say, okay, you'll see this problem, if it says Susie scored an 80, a 92, a 74, what must her next test be so that her average is 90? You know, and that's a good example. Number 84. If you have an average of a series of numbers, so you know the average, how do you find their sum? Well, it looks like this. The sum is the average times the number of terms. So if you look at this last problem, the sum would be, the sum of those 4 terms is going to be 28 because the average is 7 and there's the number of terms is 4. So you take the average times the number of terms and that's going to be the sum. Okay? Okay, number 85. How do you quickly find the average of a series of evenly spaced numbers? So if I tell you, you have integers from 13 to 77, you got to know that they're evenly spaced though. If they're evenly spaced and you want to know the average, so if you see that the pattern is going by 2s or going by 3s, all you have to do is average the first and the last number, the smallest and the largest number, and divide it by 2. And that's going to give you the average of all of them. So if they're evenly spaced, you have to sit there and add them all up? No, you take the first and the last, add them together, divide by 2. That's going to save you some time. Number 86, it's talking about how do you find the average rate? An average rate, for example, is distance is equal to rate times time. So whatever the quantity is divided by the time, that's going to be your rate. So distance over time is your rate. 87. What's the formula to find average? It's easy. Average is you add up the terms and divide by the number of terms. It's the sum of the terms divided by the number of terms. 88. How do you solve a proportion? Here I wrote a proportion down. Some number over 2 is equal to 3 over 4. Well, you cross multiply. You do x times 4 is 4x, and 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 divided by 4 is 3/2, which is 1.5. There's other ways to do it, but that's the easiest way. Solving, you're going to cross multiply. Questions? 89. How do you solve a problem involving rates? Well, this is the easiest thing I can show you. You want to convert them. You want to keep your rates straight. For example, here's a good example. If you have 1 foot to 4 hours and you wanna convert it to inches over hour, 7 hours, you wanna convert, you gotta keep your numerators to be the same, so inches is inches. So you're not gonna compare feet to hours and inches to hours, you've gotta convert this into inches. So 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So if you're looking at how many inches is 7 hours, that's what you have to make sure. The biggest thing is make sure that your units are the same. And then you've got your proportion, cross multiply. 12 times 7 is equal to 4x, and so divide by 4x is 21. And the last one, number 90, it was kind of confusing how they wrote it. And I'll see if I can simplify that. The question says, how do you convert part-to-part ratios to part-to-whole ratios? Part-to-part to part-to-whole. Okay, what they're saying is, for example, if we say the ratio of males to females is 1 to 2, how many people are in, this is a part-to-a-part problem. If I say the ratio of males to females is 1 to 2 ratio, how many people are we talking about? 3. So now they're talking about part to whole. So if I say what's the ratio of males to people, it would be 1 to 3. Okay? If I said females to people, it'd be 2 to 3. Okay? That's what part to part. You get it? Anyone have any questions on that one? Okay, so for homework, what do I want you to do? Finish the last 10 Kaplan, last 10 questions, and do as many of those 20, there's 40 actual on that last paper, on the Kaplan paper. Work through, do as many of those questions as you can. We're going to try and get through all of them tomorrow. I know you guys have play and all that other stuff going on, but I need you to finish that Kaplan packet. Okay, your